I was mesmerized. It was called Long Way Round with Charlie Borman and Ewan McGregor. They rode their motorcycles around the world, which they were able to film, and it got me thinking. I have so much here in Oregon, why couldn't I do something similar for a shorter amount of time? It was made out of 2 Army surplus backpacks. It had worked great for the last 7 years, but I would definitely need something more robust for a trip like we were planning. Luckily, Giant Loop was in town. This was the game changer I had been looking for. Once again, the bike surpassed my wildest hopes and dreams. I was also equally impressed with my pre-production 2nd generation GoPro Hero my buddy JMO hooked me up with. I called Josh and confirmed the trip for me was a go. He was now as ready as I was. It was time to get on these bikes and set out on an adventure neither of us would ever forget. I woke the next morning to one of the most spectacular sunrises I had ever seen. This test trip had been far beyond just a success, but it was time to pack up, get back to the cabin, and get everything ready for an extended trip. This whole thing was very new to both Josh and I, and we just took what we had. We both had a large tent and a bulky sleeping pad, but it looked worse than it actually was. Our old gear only added another 5 to 7 pounds overall compared to something high-tech. I went back to work the next day and did my best to convince myself it was okay to take some time off and away from the reach of the shop. It was mid-September, the absolute dead zone for bike sales. Personally, I still don't understand that myself. The fall is my favorite time to ride, and maybe that's where everybody goes. Whatever the case is, they don't seem to go to the bike shops. If I was going to take any time off and still have decent weather, the time was now. After a couple weeks, I was able to get everything aligned both in my head and at the shop, and I rode home one last time and started packing the bike. This new setup looked great. One quick trip around the area of the cabin and I was set. My old cabin is actually located on the Oregon BDR route, so testing was pretty easy. After working until about 3:30 in the afternoon, Josh and I finally hit the road. It felt good, but I still felt the anxiety of the world I had just left. Plus, within a mile of leaving the shop, my rear taillight burned out, so there was that. My residual anxiety tried to have a field day with it, always grabbing what's convenient. Oh well, it's an easy fix at camp.
I'm going to try and just run it all the way to camp. If someone comes in behind me or something like that, try and block me. Or if the cop passes the other way, just kind of, I'll hold my brake light on like I did in the last one. But we're not that far, so. Everything okay? I'm definitely going to have to change the backpack tomorrow. Alright. Well, feel free to pass me whenever you want. We'll go for another 15 miles or so, and then we'll get to the top of a hill, and there'll be an intersection. You take a left. That's it. Just enjoy the scenery.
And with that, our journey finally begins. Our first day was a short one, less than 2 hours of riding. We wanted to get to an easy and semi-close camp spot that first night to sort out any issues we might have along the way. Other than my burnout taillight, everything seemed to be going great. a little luggage adjustment, and we were ready to put on some miles. Back in 2010, this idea of filming a motorcycle ride was, at least for me, very new. We also ran into some issues with our cameras switching over to image mode rather than video mode, resulting in over 4,000 JPEGs by the end of the trip. Plus, I'm a pretty alert rider, always looking around. I found out later that my consistent left and right head movements wasn't super conducive to cinematic footage, so keep that in mind when watching this. This was a different time and era when this was filmed. We were just recording it for ourselves. The idea anyone else would ever see this never even crossed our minds. We headed down one of my favorite roads along the Crooked River Canyon and headed to the Ochiko Mountains, about an hour away, also one of my favorite places anywhere. When we got to the foothills of the Ochikos, it began to rain, something that would become our companion for most of this trip. We decided to change our travel plans and made the decision to head to a place I'd stayed before, Morrow County OHV Park. A fantastic place to stay and use as a base camp for the next couple days. We pulled into Morrow County, and it was just like I remembered. I had stayed there a few years before with my friend Gary and loved it. We were even able to get the same old number 7 cabin, and we were dialed in from any rain Mother Nature wanted to throw our way. We rode out the passing squall in the comfort of our little A-frame, and then decided to check out the trails before it got too dark. Josh's XR was being an XR and wanted to stay at the cabin and relax.
How you doing, buddy? You can lay it down on its side until it peaks, and that'll prime that cylinder.
A little old school XR owner wisdom later, and we were off to explore the area.
I'll follow you wherever you want to go.
We explored the western edge of the park. Most of that side is composed of quad trails. The ruts were deep, probably close to a foot at some places lower than the center section, as well as being super loose, making riding more of a challenge than it should have been. Still, it was a hoot.
I'll go for it. I'm enjoying watching the movie.
Josh unleashed a microwave-sized rock from the side of the trail in that cloud of dust, and I smacked right into it. That's good stuff right there.
What are you thinking? What's that?
I was trying to figure out how to get back.
I think that goes back. So, let's try it. I'm not done.
Yep, time to finally head in for the night. It was way darker than it looks here. Time for some dinner and a good night's sleep with hopefully not too many unwanted guests. The next morning, we were greeted to the fresh scent of last night's rain and mostly blue skies. We headed towards the nearest town, some 33 miles away, for some breakfast and looked forward to a day of just exploring. These roads were like a personal playground, made only for us. Being a Thursday morning helps, but I don't think these roads ever see much in the way of traffic. We went through the town of Hardman. Hardman is one of those living ghost towns. Not much goes on there anymore, mostly people passing through on their way to somewhere else. However, like much of this region, its past is still quite present and is steeped in a rich history. The trip was beginning to gel and come together, and I could finally feel my anxiety slowly starting to slip away. That is, until I met my nemesis once again. Every time I approach this corner, there's a very slow-moving vehicle in the middle of it, protecting me from going too fast, I guess. I can ride for 100 miles in this area and not see anyone except in that particular corner.
You're taking the shortcut. Every time.
Yep, should have taken the shortcut. After a phenomenal breakfast here in Heppner, we were back in the saddle once again. Every time I come through here, I'm reminded of what this town has been through. Basically, it was wiped off the map over 120 years ago. A massive flood took out the entire town. Looking at pictures from that era, it amazes me it could even recoup after a disaster like that. It seems like it's easier to weather a disaster rather than the long game time itself likes to play, something I started noticing more and more on this trip. Back on the road again, and for the first time ever, my corner doesn't have a truck sitting in the middle of it. Today is going to be a good day. The roads around Heppner, Fossil, and Condon are just spectacular. Way more than a 2010 pre-production helmet-mounted camera can convey. And as you can see, the traffic was just terrible. Another one of those living ghost towns is the town of Lone Rock. The past is alive here as well, although this one always feels like it wants to keep itself as more of a mystery than the other towns and camps in the area. The town was named for a very large lone rock on the valley floor. And there it is. Makes sense. Time for a quick break and to appreciate our surroundings. We headed back towards Hardman on the back roads. This is what it's all about right here. Connecting places on a map on roads less traveled. These guys just kept running. Yeah, this area just screams to be explored. The high plains of the Columbia Plateau have always looked like the Great Plains to me. Another one of those around-the-world destinations right here in Oregon. We decided to cut back through the mountains and do a little fishing. The fishing was great, so we decided to take a break from riding and have one of Josh's MREs. It was actually quite good. We ended up relaxing a little too long and missed the closing time of the only gas station within 30 miles by about 10 minutes. I ended up running out of fuel for the first and only time about 500 yards away from camp. Luckily, I ran out of camera battery as well, so you'll have to take my word for it. Trips like this are meant to have stories to tell, and we were definitely getting plenty. The next morning, we packed up and headed east. Our plan was to get to Ukiah early for breakfast. Wow, one more time through the corner without being held up? I was shocked at our luck. That ride up and over the mountains to Ukiah ended up being one of the coldest rides I've ever been on. Once again, the camera doesn't convey the misery. Still, it was a great ride. Ukiah hasn't changed much in the last 100 years. After a great breakfast, we decided to alter our plans once again. Falling in love with the immediate area, we decided to forego our plans of heading all the way to the Wallowas and decided we would try and find a good base camp around this area in the Elkhorns or Blue Mountains instead. We began to feel a magic to this area. Neither of us had spent any real time here before, and it was speaking to both of us. It was then we decided to make a random left turn, and we encountered a place that would become precious for both of us for the rest of our lives. Welcome to Granite.
Doesn't get better than that.
That place I knew that we wouldn't get gas would be Granite.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. And it's even premium.
Yeah.
We introduced ourselves to the locals, with one calling herself Dynamite. She'd lived there most of her life, and she talked us into renting a couple of tents they had set up for $20. Couldn't beat that. A warm bed, a comfy mattress, plus hot food a stone's throw away. We got the tents and sleeping bags off the bike and decided to explore the area proper with what daylight we had remaining. This country is just amazing. With a height of almost 8,000 feet, the route to Anthony Lakes is one of Oregon's highest, and I could tell.
Imagine coming over here before there was anybody.
Exactly. You know something? Starting to lose a little bit of power. We must be getting high up.
Yeah.
You're starting to notice it lugging a little bit bip. It's like, okay,
Come on, Bessie.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks for doing this, man.
Yeah, thank you.
They were paving the road to the ski resort, and you could tell everything was a bustle with frantic energy trying to get done before the snow flies. We turned off on a spur road, and that was when I completely fell into the trip for real and had my life-changing moment. It took a few days to unwind, but this was the moment I knew this is what I wanted in my life. This right here. We stopped then and there and commemorated the moment with Gunsight Mountain playing host to the experience. Fully into the journey now, we moved on and started to expand our search patterns even further. What a beautiful area.
Place to take pictures in the spring. Yeah, turn signals quit working again, but
We headed back down off the mountain, and it was then that we ran into who Josh still describes as my ghost from the past visiting me in the present. Personally, I don't totally see it, but this kid reminds him of me at that age.
How's it going, buddy? How are you? Good. We're going for a motorcycle ride, kind of checking this out. Is it? Oh, yeah. Okay. Cool. Thank you.
Don't worry, this moment wasn't wasted on me at the time. I was fully aware that this was turning into a soul journey for me personally, and the irony of bumping into this kid at this time was something I took note of.
You guys staying up here?
4 days.
Nice.
This is our first day.
Cool.
Only 3 other days.
Yeah? Very cool.
Hey, come look at. Come look in here.
Okay.
Inside it.
It's kind of hard to focus on. Oh wow.
Generator. 500 pounds
500 pounds?
of water.
Wow.
500 pounds. That.
Might be the way to go.
There's a lot of places over here that are really good.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
This was the power station for the area beginning in 1905. It amazes me what this area saw as far as infrastructure back in its mining days. The tenacity of the people and the drive to overcome, I'm not sure we can fully comprehend today. Back to Granite and a bacon cheeseburger, but first a little tour. Granite is Oregon's 4th smallest incorporated city with a rich history all its own. The only cities smaller are Shaniko with a population of 36, Lone Rock with a population of 21, and nearby Greenhorn with a population of 2. First established by miners after the discovery of gold along Granite Creek on July 4th, 1862, the area was originally called Granite Creek Mines. The town was later renamed Granite in 1878 when the post office first opened. A 150 years later, and Granite is still alive and well. After dinner, we decided to explore the town a bit on foot. So many sights to see. Yep, that's the mayor's office right there. Still functioning every day with coffee ready for anyone who cares to visit. Off to Sumter. Another one of those towns with a rich yet catastrophic history. Legend has it, with all of the constant war news in the newspapers, after a perfectly round rock was found in the area during the 1860s, which reminded residents of a cannonball, the town was named after Fort Sumter of South Carolina, albeit with an added P. The town boomed to over 2,000 residents in its heyday, but was almost completely consumed by fire in 1917. Dynamite was actually used to help put the fire out, which destroyed 12 blocks of the town's buildings. Few original buildings remain, but some are still standing to this day. Sumter is also home to the Sumter Valley Railway, which was created in 1897 and ran for 80 miles, reaching as far as Prairie City in 1907. It still runs to this day and is definitely worth checking out. The last gold dredge in the area is also still intact. Those things traveled over 8 miles up this valley, scooping 20 buckets of dirt and gravel per minute. History is everywhere in this area.
Looking around. One thing I'd like to get is I'd like to get that steam engine running with our cameras. What? Let's run down the road until we see the train coming back this way. Because it's only in... Huh?
Little did I know at the time it was those conversations I should have recorded. Live and learn. There's such a profound loneliness to the sound of a steam engine's whistle. I don't even know how to describe the feelings it evokes. It's so good to see these engines still alive and breathing fire like they have for over 120 plus years. I think the sound of that steam engine flipped some sort of switch in my soul, and my eyes became even more nostalgic, wondering what sort of lives were lived here so long ago. Evidence of those times is everywhere, yet the personal side seems to be lost forever, something else I began to contemplate. We headed to the lost town of Bourne. With no more year-round residents, Bourne is considered a true ghost town. I can't help but wonder what all went on this exact street. Life was so different from today. Riding up Main Street here really began to reinforce the impermanence of life. How a place so alive and so active one day can just be completely erased and gone within a lifetime, with stories, lessons, precious moments, and events all lost to the sands of time. It sounds like a downer, but I think it's the opposite. It seems the magic is in the moment. That was something this trip was beginning to reinforce in my mind. Appreciation for the now might just be the key to happiness later. I'll file that one away. Next, it's off to Greenhorn. Greenhorn has the distinction of being Oregon's smallest and highest incorporated city. It was originally settled as a mining town in the 1860s, and it continued as a viable community until gold mining became illegal by Federal Public Law 208 in 1942.
Assuming that's down there, not at.
Well, let's go down a little ways and come back, keep it nice and quiet.
Greenhorn is one of those places where not a lot physically remains, but you can still feel the ghosts from its past. A vibrant life just recently enough to still be physically present, but long enough ago to be completely foreign to modern eyes. Around 1910 or so, Greenhorn had the ironic and unique distinction of actually having its jail stolen, or as they like to say, removed under suspicious circumstances. It ended up in Canyon City, where it remains to this day. By this time, the rain decided to make its presence completely known and accompanied us all the way back to Granite. Had I known there was a quick gravel route back to Granite down by the power station, we would have taken it. However, we ended up taking the long way around back through Sumter. I have to say, the ride back was miserable. But I wouldn't have had it any other way. This trip was beginning to break through all of my personal barriers I had put into place in my life over the last several years, like layers of an onion, and cold and rain helped to drive home the fact that life wasn't just what my day-to-day usual existence was. It was so much larger than my little world. That's the beauty of motorcycle riding. You are part of the world around you, for better or worse.
Well, I'm wet. Good ride. It's a good ride. Yeah. You're still recording.
After showing back up at our tents looking like two drowned rats, Dynamite took pity on us and offered us showers up at the lodge for $5. To this day, that's the best $5 I've ever spent. However, that wasn't the end of the day's adventure.
Keep on going, buddy. Take a ride? Is he really? He's gonna take a ride.
Some dude driving a double trailer big rig was obviously tripping out on something major, and he found himself in the middle of downtown Granite, wreaking havoc, running over fences, trees, and almost taking out the mayor's antique saw he had in his front yard, whom we got to hang out with and watch it all from the comfort of our fire.
If he didn't see the fire, he shouldn't be behind the wheel.
Right, that's why I walked up to his rig there, you know.
Yeah.
Then he come up there, and when he got on the porch, he's like, well, I didn't hurt this fucking property. When he said that, it just,
Yeah,
that pissed me off.
Well, yeah.
It pissed me off, and I said, you know what? Get out of here, and I'll just call the law, and you deal with the fucking law then,
Yep.
you know. Tired of messing with these people. But this is bullshit.
Park down at something or something and wait till morning.
Yeah, let it wear off.
Yeah.
Well, if you need anything from us, whatever you need, just let
Okay,
us know.
all right. Thank you, guys.
Yep, no worries there.
All right, if y'all need anything, give us a holler.
All right. You gonna go up that road? Sounds like it. Yeah, he's gonna go up that road.
It's a moment this video cannot convey and I cannot fully describe. It was completely crazy. Again, just one of those many stories to tell. After a night I'll never forget, the next morning we packed up and got ready for the long journey back home. I'll be honest, it felt wrong to be on the road riding west and towards home. I've never felt that feeling before or since like I did on that day, and it totally surprised me. It was like I was disappointing someone I deeply cared about by not continuing the journey, with something new and exciting around every corner. There was an energy in the air, and I felt like I was doing myself a disservice by heading back to my old life and problems. I just wanted to stay on the road. Packing up has always been my least favorite part of travel, but this time it was on another level. It took me a long time to sort through those feelings, but I finally get it now. This last day, the weather finally opened up and the sun decided to join us for our ride back to the cabin. We took one last break along the Crooked River, ate some food, and packed up for the last leg of our journey. I learned so much on this trip, mostly about myself. Life is more valuable than I had ever given it credit for. It took me 14 years since that trip to finally figure that out. But it's not how fast you complete the journey, it's what you learn along the way. Like most of us, I'm still a work in progress, but my twisted journey began here. Hopefully, we can continue it together. These last 3 episodes have been my origin story and some of what got me through to today. I hope they can help you in some way. I think I learned the most about myself and life from the saddle of my motorcycle, something I bet you understand as well. It's there on these deserted roads and trails where I can truly just be myself without any distractions, and that's a rare thing in today's modern world. As a side note, if you're on the fence about getting a bike, do it. I hope this video shows that the best bike for your adventure is the one you have. Really, it's not about the bike you have or the tent or any of the gear. People get wrapped up in the details, the haves and have-nots, and that's not what this sport is about, at least for me. It's about discovery, and you can do that anywhere and with anything. All it takes is an open mind. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.